Tansei, good evening. I'm Chris Sanachkite. Welcome to APTN National News. Things got heated in the Senate Committee on Indigenous Peoples this week during discussion of Bill S2, a piece of legislation that seeks to remove sex-based discriminations in the Indian Act. Some senators on the committee would like to see the proposed legislation amended to get rid of the second-generation cutoff. But Indigenous Services Minister Mandy Golmasti played a trump card when arguing the bill must go forward in its current form. APTN's Fraser Needham has that story.
In her opening remarks to the Senate committee Wednesday night, Golmasti outlined why the government needs to get Bill S2 through both houses of Parliament now.
Parliament has a critical deadline of April of next year to enact the changes outlined in the Bill S2. It's in the Nicholas decision that the Supreme Court of British Columbia ruled that parts of the Indian Act's registration and band membership provisions violated the Charter's guarantee of equality. Passing S2 is necessary to uphold those rights and prevent further harm.
But previous witnesses have told the committee S2 is flawed in its current form because it does not fully eliminate the second-generation cutoff. Senator Kim Pate took this up in one of her questions.
You're essentially saying that you have a duty to consult about whether or not you will end the discrimination. That's what the consultation will be about if you don't address this. What am I misunderstanding?
The entirety of my response.
Golmasti then accused some of the senators of racism for wanting to amend the legislation without First Nation community consultation first.
The determination of a solution here at this table and then asking me to go and consult community when this solution is driven from a group that is not of Indigenous descent, that does not realize the impact of second gen, is racism itself. I'm sorry, I will not proceed with that.
Senator Mary Lou McPhedran then asked if leaving the second-generation cutoff in the Indian Act only furthers sex-based discrimination.
Do you acknowledge that right now the second-generation cutoff perpetuates pre-existing sex discrimination against women and their descendants? And added to that is, do you acknowledge that these Indigenous women are rights holders?
But Golmasti referenced a previous meeting with the senator and said, as a non-Indigenous woman, this was not really McPhedran's decision to make.
And then proceeding to afterwards tell me, we know the solution for second generation. We know the solution because we've been working in this space for a very long time. When you yourself have not lived the reality as an Indigenous woman.
Bill S2 has passed first and second reading in the Senate and would still need to be passed through the House of Commons in order to become law. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
A sentencing hearing was held in a northern Manitoba First Nation on Thursday for a man involved in the death of a young woman in the community back in late of 2024. Many family and friends, along with leadership from Norway House, all read victim impact statements in the makeshift courtroom. With more details, here's T.R. Wheatley.
This video, captured by community members, shows 35-year-old Derek Bruce Forbister being escorted into the Norway House Cree Nation multiplex by multiple sheriff officers on Thursday. Forbister was originally charged on November 14, 2024 for manslaughter in relation to the death of 23-year-old Raven Crate. Forbister has been in custody since. He pled down to criminal negligence causing death. Now her grandmother, Sandra Clark, is calling for the maximum sentence he could get.
Your Honor, I am asking for the maximum sentence because of our loss is so great. We will never get to hug or hold our granddaughter Raven and her baby boy Nathaniel again. I wish we could go back in time and have her here with us. Raven will never have the chance to be a mother to Nathaniel. I ask you to consider the plea deal with the Crown as it did not take into account the death of baby Nathaniel. Our family feels this decision was rushed, especially with Raven and Nathaniel's memorial coming up next week on November 12th.
On November 12, 2024, Crate was found deceased in a home on the Norway House Cree Nation. She was 4.5 months pregnant at the time. Her family says she was at her cousin's place babysitting and that she was at the wrong place at the wrong time. RCMP had said Crate and Forbister knew one another. Her aunt, Olive Dixon, reflects on losing both Raven and her son they named Nathaniel Angel Justice Crate. She says he would have been 7 months right now.
Baby Nathaniel, who would have been 7 months old this month, never got to take his first breath here on earth. He never got to feel the love that we all were anticipating and eager to share with Raven as she was transitioning into motherhood.
The judge in the case reserved his decision for later this month. Councillor Dion Crate read the victim impact statement on behalf of Norway House.
The violent death of Raven Crate has deeply shaken our people. Raven was a caring individual who volunteered alongside her grandmother at the Muchabanwin program, which provides Norway House Cree Nation families during times of emergency and bereavement. She would volunteer with cooking and cleaning for bereaved families. Most tragically, Raven was 4 months pregnant at the time of her passing. The accused actions have left a deep grief and anger throughout our community.
In the meantime, family and friends took to the streets calling for justice for the young Cree woman whose life was taken far too soon. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
On Thursday, the Manitoba's NDP government passed Bill 210 to officially mark November 8th as Indigenous Veterans Day. Good news for those who attended Winnipeg's annual event on Friday that honors Indigenous veterans. This year now marks 31 years for the ceremony in the city's core. Here's some sights and sounds from that event.
This event would not have happened if it were not for veterans themselves who argued for a special day for Aboriginal veterans.
We have a proud military history here in Manitoba. We also know is that Indigenous veterans were not treated the same as other veterans. Through consultation and hard work with so many veterans and community advocates, I am incredibly proud to say that as of 8:55 p.m. last night, building on a resolution that was passed in 1993, November 8th is now known as Indigenous Veterans Day, officially in law.
The Honorable Ian Bushy, Minister of Natural Resources, Indigenous Feature, will now lay the wreath.
Métis Nation Saskatchewan held their Indigenous Veterans Day ceremony ahead of the official day. It was held at the Batage Festival grounds, the site of the Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont's last stand during the Northwest Resistance. The first cold, windy and large snowfall in Saskatchewan didn't stop MNS officials from laying down wreaths at the Batage Memorial Site. The ceremony honored those who fought and died alongside Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont, as well as all soldiers who have served to protect communities across Canada. The full live stream is available on the Métis Nation Saskatchewan website under the Métis Veterans tab. We now want to hear from you on any story ideas. Here's how you can reach us. Don't be shy, send us an email to news@aptn.ca, and to read and watch our stories you may have missed, go to aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, LinkedIn, and X, and you can watch this newscast anywhere, anytime on YouTube. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Plans are in the works for more First Nations land use in northwestern BC. That story when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. A series of new First Nations land use plans are in the works in northwestern British Columbia. According to the province, it's eager to complete the plans and fast, so nations' landscapes and ecosystems are protected, and there's enhanced clarity where resource extraction can and cannot take place. Sarah Connors spoke with one of the nations hoping to get their land use plan over the finish line next year.
Within the Kaska Nation's territory in northern British Columbia lies Dinakay Kusan, which means always will be there, and Kaska. Spanning 40,000 square kilometers in northwestern BC, Dinakay Kusan is a pristine wilderness area home to countless wildlife, rugged mountain ranges, and boreal forest watersheds.
It's where we've lived since time immemorial, and there's so much cultural heritage and importance in that area for us.
That's why the Dinakay Institute, which advocates for Kaska land stewardship, is proposing Dinakay Kusan be designated as an Indigenous Protected and Conserved Area, or IPCA. The IPCA would recognize the Kaska's inherent right to protect their ancestral lands and promote conservation-based economic opportunities like tourism and land guardians.
There is no resource development in the area that we're trying to protect. We want to keep it that way.
Today, BC's Northwest, close to the Alaska and Yukon border, has a generational opportunity.
Now, new land use planning between the Kaska and the province of BC is helping support that vision. Earlier this year, the provincial government announced a new approach to mining that also balances economic development, reconciliation, and conservation. The strategy includes fast-tracking land use plans, which set out what types of activities can happen on the land and where. The aim is to ensure certainty surrounding land use for industry and 5 First Nations in northwestern BC, including the Kaska. The Kaska's land use plan covers 99,000 square kilometers of the territory in BC, and they want the province to recognize Dinakay Kusan as an IPCA in the final plan.
There's so much potential in what we're proposing within our IPCA and within the larger land use planning as a whole.
This is going to create clarity and predictability and certainty for everybody in this province.
The minister working on the file says land use plans usually take years to complete, but this process was expedited to an ambitious 1-year timeline. A recent government strike delayed the process, and the plans will now likely be completed by next fall.
We are working really, really hard to stay on track and get this done.
Stavely says the Dinakay Institute hopes to have consensus recommendations for the plan to present to Kaska leadership and the province next year, a plan they hope will help protect the land for years to come.
We want to be able to ensure that the areas that are so sacred to us are also safeguarded, and that they are as they are today well into the future, so future generations can enjoy those areas just as our ancestors once did.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
We now head to the Northwest Territories, where the 19th Yellowknife International Film Festival is in full swing this week. Our APTN video journalist Bruce Dela Cruz reports on the Indigenous talent among the festival's lineup this year.
Uwik Sarangitara, or Wrong Husband, directed by veteran filmmaker Zacharias Kunuk, was the first feature-length film on opening night. The film, which won Best Canadian Feature Film at the 2025 Toronto International Film Festival, sheds a light on traditional Inuk arranged marriages.
The subtlety of how it was filmed, and it's it didn't go out of its way to explain anything, so you just got to watch the culture unfold and happen and how they would have lived. And I think that is really important, that we just got to be there, be silent, and witness it.
Maya LePage is head of Western Arctic Moving Pictures, a Yellowknife nonprofit and the festival's organizer. She says they focus on northern productions, especially Indigenous ones.
There's not a lot of venues where it's dedicated to northern film and northern filmmaking, and so having a venue specific for that, along with other international films and highlighting things that are important and need to be seen, is really a privilege for us.
The evening rounded out with Nika and Madison, a crime thriller directed by Eva Thomas from Walpole Island First Nation in southern Ontario.
Until we understand what we're up against, I want to be the one controlling the narrative. Nika Madison is about two Indigenous women who have an encounter with the law and then they decide to go on the run. So it's about their journey as they try to avoid capture, but at the heart of the film is really about their relationship.
Thomas sees filmmaking as another way of educating people on Indigenous cultures.
Any filmmaker takes you into their world. You get invited to a space that you wouldn't normally have access to. Many people don't have access to the res, but they can come see my movie and they can get a taste of it. And so I think that if you come on a ride with Nika Madison, that you'll get to see a little bit of their life, their lifestyle, and what makes them Indigenous and what makes them different and what makes them the same.
She says spotlighting Indigenous film creates understanding between different people and cultures.
I like to think of movies as like machines of empathy. Movies have the ability to garner empathy and understanding. And in filmmaking, if we could tell a story through the use of film or television and other people have some sort of empathy or understanding, then I think it goes a long way to the relationships we have out here in the world, real world.
The Yellowknife International Film Festival is presenting 13 feature-length films, 38 shorts, and a variety of filmmaking workshops until November 9th. For a full list of scheduled events, visit the Western Arctic Moving Pictures website at wamp.ca. Bruce De La Cruz, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Photo of the day is up next, plus previews for our other two news programs this week. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. The seasons are in the final stages of transition, and Kendall Many Horses captures it from the Tsuut'ina Nation in Alberta, where the land prepares for winter. Thanks, Kendall, for sending that picture in. For the chance to be our next photo of the day, all you have to do is send us your pictures to share at aptn.ca with a brief description about the picture. Time now to take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. St. John's 8 and rain, Charlottetown 12. Cartwright 1, La Grande River -3. Saguenay 3, Quebec City sunny and 5. Windsor 8, Toronto 7. Thunder Bay 0, Wawa -2 and partly cloudy. Puckatawagan -3, God's Lake -5. -2 in Princess Harbor, 0 in Winnipeg and sunny. Swift Current -3, Regina -1. Stony Rapids -7, Buffalo Narrows -5 and sunny. Cloudy in Peace River at 2, Fort McMurray -2. 8 in Lethbridge, Calgary 9. Penticton 7, Campbell River 6. 1 in Fort Nelson, Smithers 3. -12 in Old Crow, Whitehorse -1. -3 in Wati, Norman Wells -8. Tuktoyaktuk -7, Pawatuck -6. -6 in Chesterfield, Baker Lake -12. And Arctic Bay -12, Agluluk -8. It's Friday, and that means we have a brand new preview of what's coming up in this evening's edition of Nouvelle Nationale. Kim Sullivan from Montreal joins us now. Tansei, Kim.
Hey, Creason. The best in Quebec's music industry is celebrating this week with Les Disques. It's our version of the Junos, if you wish. And more than a few Indigenous artists were nominated in several categories. We met with them on the red carpet. We also flew to Disney World Orlando for a day of laughter and magic with a group of deserving Quebec children, 10 of which from local communities here. And rapper Samian stopped in studio to talk about men's health and more specifically men's mental health. That's tonight, 6:30 Eastern.
Thank you, Kim. The population of Pavernatuk, Quebec is booming, but their water infrastructure is breaking. For years, the Inuit community in Nunavik has had water shortages, and exclusive documents obtained by APTN Investigates shows that a permanent solution might be a pipe dream. Video journalist Tom Fenario does a deep dive for his latest episode of APTN Investigates. He joined us earlier from Montreal. Tom Fenario, thank you so much for speaking with us. Can you explain what are some of the issues with water in Pavernatuk?
Oh man, how much time do you have? Okay, unlike many Indigenous communities in Canada, Pavernatuk's issues aren't usually a water quality issue, but rather a water quantity issue, mainly due to infrastructure problems. For example, Pavernatuk, like most Inuit communities in northern Quebec, uses a cistern system, meaning they have trucks delivering water to homes and businesses. So these trucks, they spend all day driving back and forth from the water filtration plant, delivering to people, right? And the roads up there are mostly gravel. The climate is harsh, and these trucks are just not made for these conditions. They're frequently breaking down. Also, Pavernatuk is a remote flying community, so it's not like getting a new truck or even parts is easy. So you have water trucks breaking down, you have winters that hit -30, blizzards that wreak havoc, and this past spring, the worst yet. A power failure caused the pumps to stop working, a pipe broke, leaving the community with water shortages that left people going days, sometimes weeks, without running water.
I can't imagine when it rains or it snows really bad. For this story, Tom, you obtained hundreds of pages of behind-the-scenes documents and emails. What did you discover?
Mainly that what happened this past spring was the accumulation of many issues that have been evident since at least 2022, and that there's, well, frankly, plenty of blame to go around. So the trucks have been an issue, yes, but so has manpower. My research shows that at one point, hospital workers were training to do water deliveries because there weren't enough drivers showing up to work, and that there are major communication breakdowns between Pavernatuk City Hall and the larger Inuit governing body in the region. Meanwhile, the province of Quebec is always finding money to conduct studies, but is dragging its feet when it comes to financing possible long-term solutions.
And Tom, are there any possible long-term solutions to this long-standing issue?
Well, the good news is that after this spring's water crisis, an engineering firm has been hired to look into a feasible replacement for the water truck system. The bad news is that a rough estimate is looking at hundreds of millions of dollars, which is a lot for a community of 2,100. But because the Inuit population is booming, there's a chance that this is the kind of thing that could pay for itself decades down the road. And who knows, maybe there's some of that infrastructure money Prime Minister Carney put out in his budget this week will find its way to Pavernatuk.
Very concerning and such a widespread issue. Tom, that's all the time we have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And you can catch APTN Investigates Pipe Dreams, the water crisis in Pavernatuk, airing tomorrow on APTN right after the news. And that's all the time we have for this Friday, November 7th. We're back again on Saturday for your weekend wrap-up with new Indigenous Veterans content from our TR Wheatley. Please join us then. I'm Chris Nachkate. Have a safe weekend with family and stay warm out there. Akseh.
Thank you.